Yeah, I probably would have been able to hear Sam going, "Oh my god, they did it!"
Hey, what is up, you guys? Welcome back to Otaku. We're doing another set of Tezuka Manga reviews. This week, we're doing Beginner's Luck by Claire Scott. Then we're going to do Fist of Firenze by 24x4 or 24x4, whatever his name wants to be. And then Rising Hero Story by Malice with art by Shonen. So those are the three we're going to be doing. They're all going to be viewer submissions this week, which is pretty cool. And if you don't know about the competition, it's basically your one and only chance to get serialized into a issue of Shonen Jump, which is pretty fucking awesome. And you also get your manga judged by a lot of big name judges, like I'm talking author Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, Blue Exorcist. There is more. And you get a fat cash prize. So it's really, I mean, why not enter it if you're good at writing manga? We're going to go ahead and start off with Beginner's Luck, and that was by Claire Scott. I'll be doing that one. So the setup is we basically arrive to a world that doesn't value money or gold, but instead a more powerful currency known as luck. The more luck you have, the greater success you will have in life. Simply by crossing your own fingers, you can spend your luck and put it into action. The only way to earn more luck is through a special system called hazarding, which, as we see a man atop a tall building, holding another guy off the side, asking if he accepts this hazard. They've bet 3,000 luck that the man dropping won't land on the bed below. The man then gets dropped and begins to fall, but the man atop the building crosses his fingers, saying, block his landing, and then an old lady sits atop the mattress, occupying where he needs to land. The man falling starts to freak out, not wanting to land on the lady, falls, hits the ground, loses 3,000 luck to the victor atop the building, and somehow doesn't die. Our main character now has a luck of 7,000, down from 10,000, which is apparently a big problem because no one agrees to hazards with people that are under 10k. He's reflecting on all of his bad life experiences when a hand reaches out to him, and this is where we meet Reina. We finally get the name of our MC. His name is Kido. Reina wants to team up with Kido because together they could earn all of the luck in the world, which is pretty grand. But our good old boy Kido declines, saying that if he loses a hazard, the only person he wants to blame is himself, which is pretty nice. Kido leaves, stumbles into a large crowd gathering in the city that he doesn't know about, and that's when he learns about the third annual citywide luck match that's going on. All you have to do is beat the champ and you get 7,000 luck. Excited because he's never heard of this contest before, he pushes through the crowd to the desk wanting to sign up, but unfortunately it's actually a team event, so you need a partner 2v1 versus the champ Horatio. So he gets told to get the hell out of line, starts walking away defeated at this point, and just then he hears a voice, and he turns and sees Reina is also there begging for someone to be their partner. Their eyes meet, Reina grins like a psychopath, and now they're partners. They're sitting now in the waiting room inside the arena, and this is where Reina comes clean and says she actually has 0 luck. Since she has no luck, she has nothing to offer in a hazard, so she needed a partner with luck, but she promises to do whatever she can to help.
That's fucking worthless at that point to me.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Well, you got used. He wouldn't even be in the competition if it wasn't for her. So here we meet Horatio, who is the luckiest man in the city, and he's already taken down 19 other teams. Horatio reveals the hazard. It's going to be a simple game of capture the flag. Horatio will defend the ball while they have to send the columns up to the ball, bring it back to the circle that they started in. And to make it fair, the amount of luck Horatio can use is limited to the total luck between Kido and Reina, which is quite a benefit seeing as Reina has 0. With a time limit of 10 minutes, they both agree and the match begins. They immediately try to brute force their way up, getting to where Horatio stands with the ball, but he just crosses his finger and causes them to fall down, lose your grip, tumble, trip, slip, and crash to the ground. All seems lost, but Kido says he has a plan. He's used up 6,000 out of his 7,000 luck that he's allotted, so they just need to make him waste the last shot. With that, they rush up again, each taking separate paths. Reina runs up and locks hands with Horatio as they stare lovingly into each other's eyes. And Horatio, flustered, is like, "But why are you doing this?" And Reina does her psychopath smirk again and says, "Kido needed some time to get the ball, and I need you not to cross your fingers." And then we see Kido fly by them, calling for Reina to catch up. He sees them running side by side now and wondering what their plan is. And just then, Horatio comes after Kido and uses his last bit of luck, saying trip and fall, causing Kido to do as such. He catches Kido, but surprised, he doesn't have the ball anymore. When Kido and Reina were side by side, they swapped the ball. They did a classic Fast and Furious. He looks over, sees Reina running with the ball, and takes off after her. Horatio, just by himself, still has the speed to catch up to her, which is pretty impressive. Kido sees it, waits a second, thinking that he really wanted to save his luck, but he can't let Reina's strategy go to waste. So he crosses his fingers, saying, "I catch him." And then we get a sweet 2-page spread with Kido in the air above Horatio, as Horatio is diving towards Reina, as Reina's trying to run with the ball. And we get 3, 2, 1, and then we see Kido was able to catch Horatio as Reina slides into the circle, causing them to win 7,000 luck, which is 3,500 apiece, really. after the match, Reina thanks Kido, saying this has to be a dream. She could finally make a better life for herself because everything in the world runs off of luck. Kido is just kind of standing there awkwardly as Reina is kind of like saying her goodbyes because if you remember, he originally didn't want to be part of a team in the first place. So he goes to leave, stops, and kind of waits, and then finally Kido turns around and offers to be on a team with her. He couldn't have won that hazard without her, so he doesn't care if they have to actually share all the luck they earn. Reina says of course, and then they head out immediately without a second beat talking about what hazard they're going to participate in next. Then we see the total luck between the two of them at 13,000 with the final sentence, these two are far from becoming the luckiest, but more hazards await. And that's the end. So I think it's really fun. Like
I liked it too.
It's fucking degenerate gambling manga, pretty much. Like,
Yeah.
Like, hey, gamble all of your stuff. This is how good you get at life. Just gamble all the way. If you want to be rich, gamble, man.
It seemed like when I was reading the intro to it, I was like, oh, this is just like a metaphor for something. Like, you know, good luck. Like, luck matters, but not just money. No, dude, like, people are willing to kill themselves just to get some fucking luck. This is meth, dude. It's not gambling. It's meth.
That's crazy.
And in the background of one of the panels, they have a cash for luck thing where it's like you can give in your cash to get luck. Like, that's how much it values and affects your life. It's like you don't really need the money. It's like focus on the luck. It's like if you want to get good in life, go up there.
It's such a weird currency, and it's like
I liked it though. It was so different though. Like in a way, it's just like it's something you're not used to seeing as like, oh, you're just a lucky guy.
And I like the idea of it. Kind of reminds me of like a no game no life sort of thing where it's clearly the manga. It's just gonna be games over and over again, like different little like here's the bet, here's the hazard. Like you want to do it. Like that seems fun to me. And it's like they just keep trying to climb the ranks, and they'll keep getting more and more dangerous. I'm sure. Like they talk about zeroing out and just not having any luck. Like you could beat Reina and then you're fucked.
Yeah. I'm curious if this goes into like a dark zone where people like could actually die over getting the luck.
Oh,
and
I'm
stuff
sure
like
it could
that.
easy do something like that, right? Like
It
there's got to
seemed
be a
pretty
dark side to it.
happy-go-lucky.
I'm sure there will be a whole dark side underbelly. Like you have all the people with zero luck where they just can't do anything. If it like affects your fate so much, you're fucked. It's like if you have zero luck and you're not Reina, you can't get someone to team up with you. There's no coming back.
Yeah,
Once you
no
hit
one's
zero,
gonna like you. Yeah.
On the alternate, it's like, oh, I'm hard up for luck. I've got low. Yeet me off the side of a 30-story building. Did he use luck to not die?
I don't know.
get it.
I don't know how he didn't die there.
So I think the luck worked where it like called the old lady somehow. Like,
Well, yeah, he did call. So the guy called the old lady to the mattress, but how did our main character not die from that fall? Like by
he
not
didn't
landing on the
do-
mattress.
He did, he didn't say he hoped he had luck.
Yeah, he
to
didn't
keep
use
him
any
alive.
luck because he didn't want to use it.
I
Maybe
legit
he's just
thought this was going
naturally-
to be the dark version of the story right off the bat. Like, oh,
Yeah.
like
See, I
fill the
would have loved it.
mattress.
The main character.
Like
died
that's
in
not
the
actually
first
our
one.
main character. That's just a random guy who splats on the ground. Sorry.
Yeah, I probably would have been able to hear Sam going, "Oh my god, they did it!" from fucking here.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. I kind of like, I saw it. I was like, okay, sure. Like, it's an anime. Sure, he didn't fall, or a manga. He didn't die from the fall. But it's like, I like the setup of like, yeah, let's just degenerate gamble our life away. Like, let's fucking go for it, man. But it does seem like if I had to guess going forward, it'd be a bit more on the positive side. I don't know how dark it would go because the two main characters seem both very positive and fun. The whole story seems fun.
I mean, at some point, it's probably gonna get a little bit dark, but it wouldn't get into that very like aggressive territory.
And they did have a line from the grandma where she was like, as she was walking away, she's like, "Oh, I've learned to appreciate things that aren't luck." You know, so it's like there is probably that more enlightened side where you can like, yeah, you don't really need it. But if you want all of the, non-essential things of life, the wealth and the fame, you got to get luck.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to go in the realm of, like, murder and shit like that. I think it's going to go more in, like,
my bullet
choose,
hits this
like,
guy.
Exactly. I don't think it's going to go there. I think it's going to be more like you'll gain all the luck you've ever wanted in your life, but you have to, like, forfeit keto or you have to forfet Reina kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like that. I think it's going to be more
10,000
like a
luck,
crossroads.
Russian roulette.
Again, you just okay. But yeah, I liked it too. So
yeah, it was just like it's a
was
cool
fun.
concept. It's fun. It's something the kind of gambling thing has kind of been done before, but I like it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And the characters were good as well. Like Keto and Reina are fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to our second one. That was once again, it was Beginner's Luck by Claire Scott. We're gonna move on to Fists of Firenze by 24x4.
All right, so this one's a bit of a lore dump. We start in Europe, 1464, where we learn about Pope Pius II and his carrying of the cross through what would eventually become known as Italy. And he basically does this to prove to the world that the world and the church are one, and that the Pope shares the same bird as all the other people. And shortly after this demonstration, he dies, but he makes sure to fuck on one guy and says, I don't want this one Pietro Barbo to become the Pope. Fuck that guy. Doesn't really give an explanation. And then we cut to a few years later in Firenze, where we're watching a young man, which is very feminine, like practicing in a courtyard, and he's performing like some strange form of acrobatics and tricks. And he's nearly caught by someone trying to enter in the courtyard, so he immediately rushes to hide behind a canvas to appear as if he'd been working on his art. We get an introduction as his name is Leonardo, which we could maybe assume he's Leonardo da Vinci, but we don't get any confirmation. As this happens, there's a man named Lorenzo de Medici, and he enters the courtyard, and they have like a brief discussion about some stuff. They switch topics immediately, and they go to the news that this man has learned about from his travels to Rome. And he finds that the Roman Academy, who basically makes all the decrees for the Pope and whatnot, have been arrested on allegations of irreligion, immorality, and attempted assassination of the Pope. So this is kind of a disbelief for Leonardo, since they're such smart people that they would never do something like that. So he thinks that the Pope is, like, they don't say it outright, but he kind of thinks there's no way this could have happened. Maybe the Pope is making something up. And this is when we find out through just a subtle statement that despite Pius's wishes, Barbo has been made Pope. They leave the courtyard, and Leo brings up that he has to go practice with his other master. Now we cut over to Leonardo training in battle with his master. He's basically fucking up a bunch. His master is saying, you have lost all your technique, what's going on? And he kind of talks about his concerns for his friends in the Roman Academy being tortured or killed. And he wants to know what the purpose of him learning how to fight if essentially he can't use it. She gives a brief explanation. Kublai Khan taught her father because he loved him and he wanted to protect him, give him some form of protection while he traveled on the Silk Road. And then her father, because he had no sons, loved her and wanted to protect her as well and give her a form of protection. And then she chose Leonardo because she just thought he was the most worthy. From there, we get a proper introduction to the master. Her name is Fontina Polo. And she says after seeing his mind through all of his questions, she decides to give her blessing to him to go find the Roman Academy members and break them out of the Vatican prison. But she asks that he do it with 10,000 strikes before he leaves. So now Leo's traveling, and we get a flashback to a conversation with him and Lorenzo, basically asking Lorenzo to sneak him into the Vatican. Lorenzo says he'll do it, but he's going to be doing it under the guise of a hunting trip. And he's taking on the moniker of Giovanni rather than his actual name to avoid any real association with Lorenzo. We arrive into the outskirts of Rome, near the Vatican City, and he's traveling through the city. We get this nice little cityscape going on, and he meets up with some guards requesting to find the Room of Tears. And then he shows what looks to be like a ring torture device, which disgusts the guards and say, this is a holy city. This is where you get to the Room of Tears. Get the hell out of here, kind of thing. We find out that this wasn't a torture device, but it was actually something made by his friend Piero, and it was just a brooch that was unwearable. So he enters this tall building, and he looks around, and it's this gorgeous palace tower almost, and he says, found you, and then proceeds to hop up every fucking stair, or
He
like
just parkours it.
he parkours the fuck out of it. And he lands up there, but I mean, if I was a guard, I would freak the fuck out at this point too. He lands in front of two guards. They ask, who are you? And he's like, oh, I'm just the torturer's apprentice. The guards say, bullshit, he doesn't have an apprentice, and they begin to get in a defensive position. Before they can do anything, Leo just floats towards them and does 1,000 punches and knocks the two of them the fuck out before they can do anything. Leo's now coming over to the chamber, and as he opens it, he finds to his horror a cloaked man and presumably the torturer torturing another man in some form of like ankle cutting device. Upon seeing someone open the door, the torturer rips off his cloak, but he leaves like his head gown on, and they immediately start fighting each other. It's kind of like a going back forth, and they're on par, but Leo's able to bind him with some cloth. But before anything can happen, the cloth burns up, and he is now stabbed in the stomach by this guy. He's got like a hot poker of sorts. Leo refines his resolve and starts to recite a mantra, and then just proceeds to wreck this guy and finishes him with his technique La Sesión Aurea and just knocks this dude out. Leo starts to free this prisoner, and he asks, where are the others? We need to free them. This guy starts to cry and says, despite their pleas for mercy, they've been killed, pretty much. Like, he doesn't say it outright, but they're not there. They hear some guards approaching, so they begin to escape and they go through the roof exit. This is where we get the introduction to the prisoner. His name is Filippo Bonacorsi, and we get this night drop background with an angel statue, and it's some foreign text. Filippo comments that, oh, this is my early poetry, which kind of gets him emotional. They then jump off of the building with a parachute designed by a man named Leonardo da Vinci. So this guy seems cool. I don't think it's related to our main character. They float off, and now they're in the outskirts of Rome. Leo tells Filippo basically like, hey, here's your options. You can go to these places. You'll be really well welcomed. And Filippo then gets a weird like grin. He's like completely disregards this and basically says, no, I'm going to return to Rome. I have friends there. And this is where all the cogs start turning in Leo's head, and he realizes, oh shit, this assassination attempt was actually real. I have to stop this guy. So he gets in front of Filippo to prevent him. Filippo then starts fighting him, and apparently he knows the same techniques as Leo, which is now another mind-boggling thing because you thought there was only like a certain amount of people that have been trained. They both land blows on each other. Filippo reveals what's going on, why they're trying to assassinate the current pope, and it's because he's going to destroy art and poetry as it is. Filippo starts to talk about the corruption of the pope, stating that he appoints illegitimate cardinals secretly. He like appoints sons of idiot kings and stuff like that. And he has a printing press that he doesn't want for the sake of news, but for more to feed his own vanity. There's a flashback of Filippo submitting his poetry to the Pope, and he's disgusted by it, and then has him arrested, and then he wants him tortured to find confessions to find the rest of the Roman Academy. And now we cut back to the fight where we have Filippo on top of Leo, punching him in the face into the ground, and he starts to cry, and he has a flashback of the former Pope Pius, basically praising his work. He's like, why can't we go back to that? With all that like loss of vigor, Leo's able to push him off and say, come at me. And they go to fight. Leo pulls out a divine hand move and then grabs him in the head and pushes him into a tree and knocks him the fuck on out. Legit thought he died. We find out that after the battle, we're in the wagon with Lorenzo and Leo, and they're actually just shipping Filippo, who has been, again, knocked the fuck out, presumably for like the next 2 weeks, to Poland, which I probably would have just preferred to have died at this point. But they're shipping him to Poland so that he basically can't do anything. They give like a sweet little excerpt for him, and it's like one of those 80s movies, like, here's where Filippo is now. We find out that basically in his remaining days, he just starts to teach poetry to the royal children, and he uses this like vigor now that he has because he can't kill the Pope to start criticizing the Vatican's corruption. And in doing so, he eventually becomes a forefather for the Christian Reformation. One of the off comments was basically that the King of Poland saw all his injuries and was like, oh, did the torturer of the Vatican do this to you? To which he replied, no, this is of a saint's doing. And then we get the final image of the Mona Lisa, confirming that our boy Leo is Leonardo da Vinci. It was cool. I like it because I read like Da Vinci Code and all those books by Dan Brown when I was in high school, and I really like those a lot. So I like when they take actual history and they kind of modernize it or like adapt it to make it seem like there is like mystery involved with everything. So it was really cool.
Yeah, it was kind of like, it was very reminiscent for me. Like, it was like, oh, Assassin's Creed. Like, hell yeah. Because they have this whole storyline where, like, Leonardo da Vinci is a big part of it.
Time.
He invents the parachute in those games. You take down the Pope. I was like, oh, sweet. But basically, it's like Leonardo da Vinci meets martial arts. It's like now he has martial arts. And the art, I thought, was very beautiful. Like, legitimately, I haven't used that word to describe a lot of them, but this is, like, legitimately, like, beautiful. But because of the way it's stylized, where it kind of looks like art, like pencil and things like that, it got a little hard to read when there was a lot going on because they all look very similar.
Yeah, I feel like it did that a lot with the combat, where it was so Leo was like very soft colors almost, and then when he went into that kind of like speed mode or intense mode, he was like very darkly bolded and stuff, and I was like, oh, nice.
Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool, but then it would also lend to like, oh, I gotta really look here and see what is exactly is going on.
Yeah,
dude, I thought I was having a fucking stroke on the first couple pages when he was doing the like acrobatics thing. I was like, I have no idea what to frame my reference off. But you're right. It had like, in the beginning, it looked almost like it was a sketch of a person that they were drawing rather than like an actual physical person.
Yeah, then they go to like the market and then it's like super blown out. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
The attention to detail just in the background alone was crazy. I was like, damn.
Yeah, the art was fucking crazy. And it's like, this is written and drawn by the same guy. So.
Damn. And I'm almost curious if this is something. It felt kind of like a previous entry that we read, where it was in the same realm, where it was Lucifer. I can't remember the name. I think it was
Was that
Armageddon,
yeah, I think it was Armageddon.
and it had that same vibe where it was very like beautifully drawn and everything, and it was like a retelling of history of sorts. So it was really cool, and I like that genre of stuff where it gets kind of biblical. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
I
always
liked it.
fascinating. Yeah.
It kind of gave me a little bit of a reminder of like also Berserk, also, where
Okay.
it's like that fight at the end where he's like, "Nah, I fucking did try to assassinate him." I was like, "Ooh," it's like
Oh.
I like that so much. It's like, yeah, hell yeah. It's like fucking do it up.
So where do you think this is more of a one shot, or do you think this is something where they could like continue telling more stories about Leo? I feel like he's done a lot, so they could add a lot, or maybe they even go the route of like, here's other famous people from history, but here is their secret life, and they knew the battle of flowers or the flower battle
They could
techniques.
continue it pretty clearly. Obviously, there's still a corrupt pope going around who's
True.
ruining everything, and then there's the thing that you mentioned where, for some reason, other people know the fighting style that's not supposed to happen. So there's that whole mystery that's going on, and it could just be a lot of Leo trying to solve these things without going to murder,
Hmm.
but eventually, probably has to make his way there. So that, or he does
Yeah.
like the Avatar thing, and takes away all the power from the pope somehow.
Yeah. Starts
Hey,
energy bending.
Yes.
or cuts his dick off. We don't know.
So let's go to the next one. That was Fist of Firenze by 24 by 4. The next one we're going to be doing, and the last one, is Rising Hero with story by Malice, art by Shonen-san.
So we're starting with a beautiful scenery of a small town. Our protagonist is talking, he's giving a speech about how he's gonna be like the greatest, to which his boss is just like, yeah, yeah, come on, we're gonna get going. He does name drop a hero, but he says it's probably not a good thing to bring him up right now. But anyways, our hero is just a little giddy and ready to go. So he's like, come on, step on it, get pulled over. Cut to where you come to kind of a devastated town or city. You see the police are hiding behind somebody, and there's kind of like rocks and rubble all over the place. And immediately you see this one guy who clearly looks down on people who aren't superpowered. And I know Sam always talks about if you're not a superpowered person, you're kind of just shitty. This kid is like vicious. He's about to kill this cop when all of a sudden this hero comes in. This guy in a pretty cool armor, and he lands in a superhero landing. Straight up makes a hole in the ground, like a tiny one, and then he's just like, "Hey, me and you, let's duke it out. No need for introductions." So they start fighting. The superpowered kid is getting outmatched. I'm assuming it's still our protagonist is a lot faster. He's kind of beating him to the punch. And the villain admits, "Oh, I'm not going to be able to get a good hit unless I'm at a distance." To which we find out he's an earthbender,
Which is a sick power. Sick
right?
power.
Oh, the
I would not be
guy,
upset if I got that one.
but this guy summons like a giant spear. It hits our protagonist and it kind of gets him on the bicep. It's a little cut, but he finds out that the suit repairs himself and he's like, "Oh, thanks to the boss, he got this for me." We go back to the Earthbender villain and he's just summoned up a bunch of like spearheads and he's like ready to just launch him at him. And he just goes through and just tosses them. Our hero is dodging them, kind of running away from them. He saves a police officer, just kind of who's in the way, grabs him and throws him. But at the same time, he's communicating with someone in his helmet. Turns out it's his boss who's trying to do some business with this young pretty lady. He literally snatches the cop out of midair, though. What's crazy to me is like, oh, this guy's super powered, obviously, so he's able to pick up and throw the cop. But his boss just catches him straight out of the air. So he sets the cop down, and then it goes back to the main fight. The villain's just tossing all these rocks. He almost has them levitating towards him, and our hero stops him somehow. And he just says, "Hey, have you ever met a hero without powers?" He grabs one of them and he throws it back at like super speed. It's almost like supercharged. It just narrowly misses the villain. He starts running this time, in fear of everything that's happening. He keeps throwing them in, and he gets to the last one where he like does a hypercharging shot and he punches this rock. The villain, meanwhile, being an earthbender, he sees a giant rock coming at him, creates a little barrier, but it goes right through him, hits him in the gut, and just sends him flying into a wall.
Which looked like it should have probably killed him, right?
I kind of thought I
I
was going to kill him as
I thought it was
well.
gonna, yeah,
Yeah.
same.
Because they're like dagger rocks. So, like, they're not
Yeah.
just like a chunk. They're like literally knife rocks. He could have hardened skin because he's an earthbender. Yeah.
He's true,
Ah.
true. He is knocked out, and then he's like, "Oh, take it away, boys." So he lets the cops do their thing, and immediately he gets interviewed by like the local media. They're asking him a couple of questions, and on the inside, he's like, "Yes, oh my god, it's super cool. It's so much easier to become a big name here in the smaller cities than it is in the big cities." So I'm like, okay, so he's tried this before. He didn't do that great somewhere else, so he came somewhere smaller. And in the middle of giving his interview, the villain's still upset, and he's like, "Oh, everyone's gonna laugh at me. I can't be brought down." So he breaks free from the cops and rushes towards the hero. As he's running towards him, the hero's like, "What the hell?" Turns around with microphone in hand, and he chucks it at him so hard that it like destroys his whole right shoulder, like just a gaping wound.
Where's your earth armor now, bitch?
Then it cuts back to what I assume is either their house or their lair or their place of business, and he's kind of upset while this young girl comes up and gives him and his boss the bills. Well, I thought it was super funny. He puts him in a to be burned pile or something. Our hero's clearly upset. He's like, I don't know if I did the right thing. Maybe my decision wasn't good enough. And the boss is like, look, man, you did the right thing. If you didn't act quick enough, there could have been more casualties. To which he's like, let me tell you a story, buddy. It's this hero, Yogensha, and how he was fighting his arch rival. And he's like, oh, this is too easy. Breaks his armor and then realizes it's one of his friends. He's just kind of like devastated by this. And he finds out that all of this was just a elaborate scheme. He's planted 2 bombs in 2 different locations, one in a very busy metropolis kind of area and one near his loved ones.
What's going through your mind right now, Jose?
Batman. Where's Rachel? But our hero was like a little bit overconfident, was like, yeah, I could probably do both, and didn't decide. So the whole moral of the story was he didn't make a decision quick enough. So essentially both of the bombs went off and he lost everything all at once. This was also the last time you saw that hero. And it sucks because it's like they talk about how he gets so sad he just wept. He just stood there and wept and just was never seen again. And meanwhile, it cuts back to the boss who's just kind of staring, and he's like, oh, and the villain, he's just been locked up in jail waiting to be executed. To which, 2 and 2, you would figure out, wait, he knows way too much about this other than the media. He's like, here's your bonus. And our main character's like, oh, sweet, I get paid immediately. He's like, no, it's a bonus. It ends up being a receipt for all the damage he caused and how he has to repair it. At the end, we do see our hero kind of walking down and strolling, and he's just like, you know what? I'm going to be a great hero someday because I am his successor. He's like, now all I need to do is come up with a name for myself.
That was very good. I liked it.
Yeah.
I think the art was really good once again. I think the art was really
Super
fantastic.
solid.
And they did a great job in the action scenes too. Whereas like I totally understood everything that was happening the whole time all the way through. And I am full idiot most of the time on that stuff, and I got it 100%.
Dude, that part where they did the full landscape shot and you see the bomb go off in the distance, you're just like, oh, fucking F. Like, it could be a tried and true retold of a fucking Batman story. I don't give a fuck. They did that really fucking well.
I do like how it was a little bit different though, where it's like I feel like the 2 choice scenario is something that's been done a lot, like through all of superhero comics. But this one was like he took too long to decide and lost both of them. And I was like,
I was like, whoa.
Because one was like all of his relatives, and the other was like a bunch of fucking citizens. He's like, oh, just the same. Oh, they're all dead.
Yeah. And I like the main character that he felt like legitimately bad that he just fucked up the bad guy's shoulder. Like he was upset that he took a fucking chunk out of his shoulder.
Yeah, sometimes they're just like, well, it had to be done,
Yeah.
And they kind of come to terms with it real quickly. You can tell he's very like bothered by all of this.
Which is good, because that means like he's actually, so he's new, like he's a green hero, but at the same time he's not overly eager. He's not trying to kill people or anything. He knows what he did was wrong. But at the end of the day, like it had to be done, kind of thing.
Yeah, I really liked it. It was like a nice like human where he feels bad because like even though the bad guy, like he mentions him up as like, yo, you could be really good if you worked with us, and then he had to fucking take out his shoulder, and it's like, oh shit, okay, my bad.
And I don't know about you guys, but I am so glad they hinted obviously that the boss was his hero. I'm so glad that he knows that, like in the back of his mind. It's not like this play around. It was kind of like when they did it for Xenotype, where they're like, oh, the guy revealed that it's him, and the girl, instead of running around, they just kissed. It's like, thank you for that, like immediate. I didn't want this build up. I don't want to deal with the runaround because it's gonna be repetitive. But it was really nice.
Yeah, it makes for a cool setup going forward too, where it's like the old guard gets to teach the new guy,
Yeah.
And like Batman I like Beyond. That. That's gonna be really good.
He's got like a legit mentor kind of thing.
Yeah. And the one thing is like the story isn't the most unique in the world. Like I feel like this has been done a lot. Like this is kind of just like adult My Hero Academia, where it's like it's a bit of a darker version. But I do like it. I think it's really good. It sets up for a cool story where it's like all of these clearly these different little towns and stuff that have their own heroes that go on patrol there. And it sets up for like a cool thing. A little bit of Tiger and Bunny, a little bit of My Hero Academia. I kind of like it. Okay, so let's go back and figure out which one we liked the best. So the 3 that we did this week: Beginner's Luck by Claire Scott. We did Fist of Firenze by 24x4. And then we finished off with Rising Hero. That's story by Malice, art by Shonen-san. Josh, did you have one that you liked more than the others, one that stood out for you?
They were all really good this week. Fist of Firenze was like this really unique, but also, like you guys said, kind of like Assassin's Creed thing. I think that was the most unique one. I don't think I would pick that as my favorite this week. I like Beginner's Luck a lot, and I thought it was really unique and fun, but I would probably go with Rising Hero because I think it's just the most like comforting. Like I really enjoy that style, and like the art was fan-fucking-tastic, and I want to know more about it.
Yeah, for sure. Jose?
I agree with Josh with Rising Hero is straight up my alley of, superheroes and stuff like that I totally like. Just the way it's done. And, I always like when the mentor's around kind of thing. But I'll be honest, I really like Beginner's Luck because it was just more of kind of a unique thing to me where it's like I've never really seen too much of the gambling side of anime or mangas as well. So I'm going to have to go with Beginner's Luck, even though Rising Hero would be my second.
I thought you'd go Rising Hero for sure.
It's just the other one was so much. It was fun, and I really liked it. And I do love Rising Hero. I thought it was great.
Hodl, I've just received word from the author of Rising Hero. There are Gundams in this anime.
Well, then I changed my mind, sir.
Okay, so that leaves me. Obviously, I would say Fist of Firenze. I would agree. It wasn't my favorite, but I do think the artwork is fucking beautiful in that, like crazy good. Beginner's Luck, degenerate gambling shit. Oh my god, I love it. And then Rising Hero Story is just like your classic shonen, which I fucking love as well. So those are obviously the 2 frontrunner ones. The one I would want to see more of going forward, I would have to pick Rising Hero. I gotta go Rising Hero. So I would go Rising Hero. As much as I love the degenerate gambling stuff, I love the shonen stuff. Oh my god.
Yeah.
And the art was really fucking fantastic in that one as well, and the action scenes were so fucking well done.
It's super clear. Like I said, if Beginner's Luck wasn't in there for me, I'd totally pick Rising Hero. Just because these 2 tropes have kind of been done before, like the Rising Hero and then Fist of
Firenze.
Are just things kind of that I feel like I've seen before. Yeah, I like the art style a lot. I love the fighting in it. It was super clean cut, and it's just like he's just a young beginning hero who's just like, all right, let's take on the world,
which is always great. So congratulations, Rising Hero Story. You're the winner this week. That's big congrats to Malice, and then the art was by Shonen-san. Fantastic. You're the winner this week, and we will be picking another new 3 next week. So if you want to see us do more manga reviews, be sure to stick around. Subscribe, like the video, leave a comment if you submitted one. We are coming close to when we're going to stop doing the reviews. So we'll try to get as many done as we possibly can, but it eventually will have to come to an end. So with that, we'll see you guys next time. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to comment what your favorite one was. I feel like it was a tight race this week, so I'd love to know what you guys in the comments thought. We will see you guys next Friday for another video. Until then, stay safe. Have a good one, everybody.